Best Podcast Ever is sponsored by the Gertzberg Law Firm, a full-service business law firm in Cleveland and Chagrin Falls that's changing the way businesses retain their attorneys. Go to gertzberglaw.com to learn more. While you're there, check out Cover My Six, a complete legal audit of the 6 areas that most often create or prevent business lawsuits and government investigations. Go to covermysix.com to learn how we keep you safe. Enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to listen to the best podcast ever recorded.
Like nobody's going to do it for you. Like if you believe in something, you got to do it. You have to move forward. You have to make action. You can't just sit around and wait for it to happen to you.
Hi, Molly Gebler.
Hi, Alex Gertzberg.
What are you doing, dude?
You know, just hanging out here at the Gertzberg Law Firm in our studio.
Did we ever come up with a name for this studio? Best studio ever?
Best studio ever. Yeah. What's going down?
Nothing, man. I had a great
going?
Weekend. Did you have a good weekend?
I had a very busy weekend.
You go first.
Very busy. Well, it was all work related, kind of, sort of.
Give me one good highlight.
Let's see. Gosh, I'm trying to think. I know I'm tired from it. On Saturday, we went to Colby Park and saw a Journey cover band that was phenomenal.
Where's Colby Park?
In Wickliffe. It was called Music on the Mansion.
Interesting.
Mr. Colby owned that house because he owned ships and he wanted to see them. So he'd be able to see them from Lake Erie from there. It was wonderful. So just a gorgeous day. There was like a couple bands before them, and then the Journey. They're called Escape. I would love to get him on the show because he's just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I'm not a big Journey fan.
Oh, I don't even. That's un-American, I think, really, to be honest. Don't you guys all agree with me? Call in. And then Saturday, I was a judge for the Hunter Jumper Classic, which was in town. Yes.
I was there on
Saturday.
I came in on Sunday morning. I have a story to tell you why I was there.
I was there at 10:30 on Sunday.
Dude, we were there.
I was there till like
on Sunday
12:30, 10:30. Yeah.
Right. The reason I was there was because I forgot Tiffany's birthday, and I texted our friend Chad Veerhoff on Sunday morning, and I go, "Where are you?" And he goes, "I'm at the Hunter Jumper Classic in my booth." And I go, "Do you have all your stuff there with you, all your jewelry?" And he goes, "Yep." I go, "I'll be there in 15 minutes." Sure enough, he hooked me up.
Oh, that is hysterical.
Yeah,
that is some good stuff.
Well, the thing is, on Saturday, Tiffany and I have not had.
I knew it like a couple days ago. I should have texted
that it was her birthday.
You. Yeah, because it says on Facebook.
All right. Well, here's the thing. Oh, very early on in our relationship, I said to her, "Tiffany,
I suck at giving gifts.
I love you, and I will be I think that I will be a really conscientious boyfriend, right? And person and friend, right? But there's one thing I always screw up, and that from the other person's perspective, and that's birthdays. To me, a birthday is just another day. And I've always believed that. And if it weren't for family members around me saying, "Hey, what'd you get Jacob for his birthday?" or whatever, I wouldn't think it would be just another birthday, just another day. And despite that disclaimer, on Saturday, we're sitting across from each other, and she goes, "So what's the game plan for tomorrow?" And I go, "I don't know, nothing.
It's just another day, Tiffany."
She laid into me. She was so upset. And I was like, and I didn't get it. I didn't know why she was mad at me. And I thought she misheard what I said. And so I tried to repeat it more clearly. And she was like, "You are so mean." And I go, "Oh, wait, is tomorrow your birthday?"
Did you remind her of the disclaimer?
I did much later. I had to choose. That wasn't the time. Yeah, that was not the time. Oh, goodness. And so that, but Chad, man, he hooked me up. I got her really, and his daughter Jordan was there. And I go, look, A, I screwed up. B, it's her birthday. And C, I don't know shit about jewelry. And they both put their heads together and they're like, all right, you want to get this piece right here, get this one over here. They go together. They could be worn separately. They're beautiful. This one's got quartz. This one's got turquoise. And I was like, you guys are awesome. I'm sold. Let's do it. And yeah, they cut me a deal too. Yeah, shout out Jackson Gray Jewelers. You guys killed it.
Love them. Yeah, no, I was there.
So you judged? What did you judge?
The chamber was in charge of the tailgate. They had cars that were decorated, so we had to judge the tailgate competition. And then I jumped on a cart and drove out to the the stalls, I guess, the tack rooms, I guess they call them.
Oh, that's where they put the shoes on the horses.
So they decorate those as well.
Really?
Like all out. Flower, and they bring their own mulch and they decorate around it. So I judged that for the best decorated one. And then Sunday was a concert in the park. And then I went to the concert in the park at Pinecrest.
Who was there?
Pieces of Eight. They were phenomenal. They're a band that's been around forever. You've probably been to multiple weddings with them.
Gotcha. Molly, so when we went from just the Gertzberg Law Firm concerts to an additional day of the week of concerts, did you open up the auditions to a whole nother, because you had to add bands.
Right. So right? Pinecrest partnered with us for Pinecrest concerts.
Right.
So we do, yeah. And I tried not to intertwine too many of them because then people would choose, well, should I do Thursday or should I just wait until Sunday? So I really had to do some more people. They have a much bigger budget. So it was easier to get some of these bigger headliners in there. But it's going good.
We went there. We took Maya there to Pinecrest last Wednesday and they put Transylvania, Hotel Transylvania on the big screen.
Yeah.
Except here, folks, if you go, I'm going to give you a little tip right now. You want to be around the perimeter because that's where all the speakers are.
I heard that too. Yeah, that it was a little light on the volume.
It's really hard to hear, but if you are on the
chatting and stuff,
yes, and there were a bunch of unruly kids, which I was
bastards.
Yeah, I was disappointed on. About.
But Daffy Dan was there.
He was?
Yeah, at our last concert. I mean, at the
How old is Daffy Dan?
I mean, he looks exactly like he's always looked.
Like the T-shirt guy, right?
Yeah, he's got the long hair, the long
big sideburns,
mustache.
Yeah. That dude's been around since like he was selling T-shirts in the 60s
for sure.
Right? That was 50 years ago.
No, I mean he looks great.
Really?
So what did you do?
Oh my God, we had so not because I felt like I needed to make up for anything, but we had a spectacular weekend. We went boating.
The old boating.
Want to leave some space for the guilt trip there. Molly, why have we not scheduled that?
I know.
I owe you and John a boat excursion.
What I'd rather do is the New York boat excursion. Did you say you can get that?
Yeah,
your same little...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got the Freedom Boat Club people. You got to check them out. But here...
We do Manhattan in the evening.
We discovered we're still discovering parts of Lake Erie that we didn't. We just thought it was Edgewater and nothing else, right? And Mentor, But we keep taking the boat around and.
How do you find your way back? I mean, I'm not a boater, so honestly.
Well, you rarely get far enough where you can't see the Cleveland skyline.
Okay.
And once you get relatively close to the sky, to the buildings and the stadium, I mean, then you see the big tower, the lighthouse.
Do you ever go to Sandusky?
So Freedom Boat Club, yes, but not from Cleveland.
Okay.
From their Huron location. So
why wouldn't you? Or can't
from Cleveland, it'll on their motorboats, which are 250 horsepower, we can get to Sandusky in 2.5 hours. So that's 2.5 there, 2.5 back. Right. Okay. So that's 5 hours in the boat or just getting to someplace.
Right.
Which is, I think the best part about boating is you speed around for a half hour and then you just park it in the middle of the lake and go swimming. We went swimming. Gotcha. We brought our inner tubes and we floated around the boat. And
just you and Tiffany,
this time just with Tiffany. Last week we went with Maya, threw her in the lake. She had fun. But this weekend, Edgewater was packed. We dropped anchor, metaphorically speaking. We didn't actually drop the anchor, but we stopped near the beach. They were having all kinds of parties. We just kind of hung out. Boats everywhere. And then, they had that tall ships situation. That was pretty cool. Our boat, we went right up to those ships.
Is there, cool. You know how on motorcycles there's the wave? Is there a boat wave?
Oh, there is, for sure.
Is there?
Yeah. But I am more faithful to the boat wave than other people. They always wave back, but I always go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a kind boat person.
I am. So we did that, and then we ate at this cool restaurant called Spice in Gordon Square.
Okay.
Have you ever eaten
heard
there?
of it?
So
no.
good.
I've heard of it.
Apparently, their shtick is that the owner of Spice has a farm in Bath, and he grows everything at that restaurant on his farm. It's literally farm to table, from the owner's farm to the owner's restaurant.
Wow.
It was really good food. And then, oh man, dude, Saturday night. Saturday, we went to see this comedian, Michelle Wolf. You would hate her. Well, no, that's not true. You would love her right up until she started like getting political.
Oh, boy.
She actually, so every year they have this White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Yes.
She did it, and then they stopped having the White House Correspondents' Dinner because she was so offensive.
Yeah, no, I've seen her on TV, right?
Yeah, she's really
and she just
offensive.
had one by herself recently.
Yes.
Like she did her own correspondence dinner.
But I will say she bashed everybody, like both political sides.
See, now I like that.
Yeah, but she's like so over the top offensive. Like she had a whole thing on just like her abortion, right?
Oh.
And like a whole thing about like periods, and a whole thing about like it was side-splittingly funny. You know,
well, you could have gotten all that shit from Village Block this past weekend.
There was like 300 posts. Yeah, I'm staying away from Facebook any Facebook group discussions lately. But anyway, so we did that, and then we went to the casino. And Tiffany is such a good, disciplined gambler in the sense that I won a bunch of money in blackjack. She stopped playing because she wasn't winning money. So she stopped, which I have a hard time doing when I'm gambling, right? And then when I win a bunch, she takes it off the table and puts it away. Yeah. So then I was like, all right, let's go do something else. We went to the roulette table, and her brother lives in Vegas, and he was a croupier, a dealer, right?
Okay.
Did you know they call them croupiers?
I did not.
That's a thing.
I was going to say, God bless you. I thought you sneezed.
They're called croupiers.
Okay.
Her brother was a dealer, and he taught her all of the ins and outs of gambling, and just when to walk away and where you've got odds and stuff like that. So her style at the roulette table is, to play conservatively and spread the chips around. Not me. No, I put it all on one number.
Red 32.
Yeah, like that, right? So, but you know what happened? My number came up, and I won $360.
Stop it! And you're like, booyah, in your face.
I put a whole bunch of money on number 12, and nothing else anywhere.
Is 12 black or red?
Can't remember. But my number came up. We won $360, and she's like, take those chips, let's get out of here. Right.
Yeah.
Which we did. So we left the casino in a situation that is really unusual for me, which is not losing all your money.
Yes. So we did that. Took one for all the people who lose there.
Yeah.
Good for you.
That was fun. And I feel like there was something we did on Saturday afternoon that I'm leaving out. That was really fun. I don't know. She's running she ran 12 miles yesterday.
Wow.
Practicing for this Burning River race she's part of a 100-mile race relay team. So
okay.
They're crazy.
I'd say so.
I stopped having fun after like 3.5 miles. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. I stopped having fun when I tie my shoe.
Can we talked briefly about this before we started, Molly, but I am so proud of you. I'm going to keep talking about it on this podcast. You are how many days without soda?
Well, it was a Monday night.
Well, when Dan was on, right?
Yeah.
So wait, was it?
But Dan hasn't probably been released yet.
No, but was that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
You've gone 2 weeks without any soda whatsoever.
And here's the
Did you cheat?
No, because I wanted to. We were at that Journey concert, and there were food trucks, and there was an ice cream truck.
That's really hard.
And I wanted to have a root beer float. Oh, but I was like, but that's really pop, with the root beer. So that's not.
Well, is there an organic root beer float that you can have that doesn't have?
And
any...
I haven't, and I've had this conversation with you before, and I'll have it with our listeners. It wasn't about. It was listening to me make excuses that upset me the most. That's what pissed me off was, I'm in total control of what I drink. No one has a gun to my head. Yes, there's the addiction part of it, but, and I'm not belittling anybody that has an addiction or anything like that. I just felt like I had control of what I could and couldn't drink. And to hear me Dan was kind enough to be throwing out all the different flavors, and I could go to Whole Foods and get, this kind of pop without whatever. Right. And I just was like, oh, I need flavor, or oh, I hate water, and that is what really pissed me off the most, was hearing me whine.
I know for a fact that it's an addiction. And I know for a fact that the chemicals that they put in artificial sweetener, causes cancer. Mm-hmm. It is really hard to quit that stuff. And you were drinking soda. Look, we're taking it one day at a time.
Who knows what happens tomorrow?
No futurizing here.
But I was probably drinking at least 6 cans a day. For sure.
My God.
That's
insane.
For sure.
That's crazy.
And that, I couldn't even count a restaurant because, you're refilling constantly. And
now, you said to me that you were not feeling noticeably better.
Yeah. I feel, like I've said, I feel less bloaty, like after we go out to dinner or something like that. I feel, normally I would feel like totally stuffed, and I even went to the theater. I went to a drive-in and had my popcorn and didn't have that was very, very hard. The key to me is making sure it's super cold water. That's definite.
Yeah. And so it's been 2 weeks. Most people that I've talked to who quit soda at some point down the road say, I dropped X pounds after 30 days. Yeah. Right. Yeah. We're not at the 30-day mark.
Yeah. And I'm not a weigher. So maybe I should have 2 weeks ago. But, that to me, as far as weight is concerned, if I feel that in my pants and my clothes and stuff like that, then I don't like to weigh myself. So, but I hope it's not the reason I did doing it.
Well, hold on. When's the last time you went to your doctor?
I don't know. Sometimes I refuse to be weighed.
Is that a thing? Are you allowed to?
Yeah, you're allowed to. It's your medical.
You decline?
Do whatever you want. Like, no, not today.
Did you refuse last time you went?
I can't remember. Okay. I can't remember. So, but it definitely loss of energy. It's a process. I feel very.
Yeah. Well, you've got to figure your body's going through withdrawal the way heroin addicts go through withdrawal.
Yeah. I had the headaches for sure. I had migraines that I've never had before, and I get migraines, but these were, horrible migraines. But I figured it was just all part of the.
Is that gone now?
The migraines are, yeah.
Wow, what if your migraines never come back?
Oh, that would be incredible.
Because you are a migraine sufferer.
Probably once every week or two for sure. Yeah.
Wow.
That would be very interesting. Yeah.
I can't wait to see how this plays out.
Me
But
too.
I will say, regardless of how it plays out, I'm really, really proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it is really inspiring. In fact, over the weekend, I picked up this book called Atomic Habits. You would actually, gosh, if you only read,
Right.
there is an audiobook for Atomic Habits. And I made a list of the habits that I wanted to either create or break so that I could apply the lessons from this book to those habits, you know? And
Interesting. Is it like a step by step on?
well, so here, I'll give you the synopsis, right? So first it says that I would say the underlying premise of the entire book, and it's this internationally crazy acclaimed bestseller because it's so counterintuitive in this way, is whatever habit you want to really create, start. The reason he calls it atomic is start at the atom level, start at the tiniest place. So like if you are not someone who works out, but you want to start a daily workout habit, work out for 2 minutes a day, right? And do that until your body needs to work out every day, and then go to 5 minutes.
right.
And then go to 10. And before you know it, you'll be at like an hour.
If I want to start walking to the mailbox, is that the at the
If
start?
you did it every single day, yes.
Yeah. Instead
So-
of like going with the car, I would just go up to my driveway and then walk to the mailbox.
Start there.
Okay.
But then what's important is you have to expand that.
Right.
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 And then start walking in other places, like
Right.
up and down stairs, for example.
Yes. Well,
So
I
that's
do that.
so that's the underlying premise, is start in the tiniest atom-sized bites.
Makes
right.
sense, right?
But then the other stuff is, make it, the other stuff is pretty intuitive that we've all heard, like make it really easy for yourself to achieve the habit, use massive rewards when you achieve it. And then to break a habit, make it really hard to do the thing you're trying to break. So the examples are ones we've always, like, so if you want to go to the gym in the morning, put your gym clothes right there, right when you wake up, and put them on first thing in the morning, right? And make it really easy for yourself. Or if you want to eat well, pack your lunch the day before so it's already there. Make it really easy to do
Right.
that stuff.
If you want to give up Diet Coke, you wouldn't have it in your refrigerator.
Exactly.
You'd have to go to the store to get one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You wouldn't, if you want to stop drinking, no going to bars for some period of time. And definitely no alcohol in the house.
Right.
But so there's like probably like 20 principles, but the basic one is start tiny. Start tiny.
And that makes sense
Yeah.
so you don't get turned off
Right.
right off the
Don't
bat.
get discouraged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Upsetting.
I'm trying
That's
to,
exciting.
well, the habit that I'm trying hardest to acquire is training my dog, Shia, right? It's Shia LaBeouf, the pit bull that I
Yes.
own. And she is a monster. She'll never bite or attack anybody. But she's always barking whenever anyone walks by the house. And she and Tiffany's dog. So Tiffany's got like this 14-year-old
I've been there with
collie.
both the dogs.
Yeah, man. They're always like,
They're just playing, but
they're like pooping and peeing on the carpet because they're both just bitches. They're just, in the biological sense,
Right.
but also in the
right.
other sense too. They're just two girl dogs that are very territorial, you know? So we got to take care of that stuff.
Well, shouldn't that be like the dogs would have to read the book?
Well, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 minutes of dog training every single day.
Gotcha.
Just 2 minutes.
Gotcha.
Right. And then I will increase that to like
Move it up.
either 4 or 5 minutes a day or every other day for longer periods
Right,
of time or
right.
something like that. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
speaking of books,
Uh-oh.
I've just been handed my second book.
In your hot little hands, you received today.
Yes. Well, a
Your-
couple days ago, but yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you talk about it?
No.
Well,
No.
if this comes out 2 weeks from now,
Yeah. No.
but this is the
But I was thinking
continuing adventures of.
It is not a continuing adventure.
Oh,
No,
it's a
this is
different
whole new character.
Wow.
Whole new character.
So your girl Lily,
Yeah.
she did the illustrations for all 4 books already, or she just finished this one?
She's just finished this one. We will roll into the next one very quickly because we have this one coming out in beginning or mid-August, and then the next one comes out in September. So, yeah, they'll come out right after each other. But we're pumped.
After our Thursday night concerts, we always go into the ice cream store, and Maya's eyes just light up when she sees your book at Dewey's.
Yeah, there's like 2 that just sit there. I know. The Fireside Bookstore has them, and I am doing a book signing, but it'll be over by.
Folks, buy these books.
Yeah,
they're limited edition.
They are.
You know what I mean? I mean,
we won't print again. So yes, they are limited.
I mean, well, here's the thing, Molly. I mean, the day will come when you have outgrown your position here, your shoes here, and you will become like the mayor or like a congressperson or
Nothing
like
political,
just some,
I'm
well,
sure
maybe
of
just
that.
some kind. Actually, you know what I
Sure
expect
of
for
that.
you? I had this realization. I think that you are destined to be in a reality show.
Oh,
Yeah, like a national one.
okay.
Yeah, like
The Chagrin Falls, the
Kardashians
the
or something like
Housewives
that.
of the Chagrin Falls.
Something like that. Yeah. So when that happens, folks, you're going to want that limited edition book.
Want that book?
Go get that shit.
Go get it.
Go to Dewey's, go to Fireside.
PeaceOfMolly'smind.com.
This might be a good opportunity to talk about our guest because he's sitting right outside waiting to come in.
Yes.
So, Molly, what do you know about Jim Sanders?
I know that he owns a local coffee shop here in Chagrin Falls, and I know that they have some amazing avocado toast.
They sure do.
They sure do.
The avocado toast is phenomenal. But
I take it without the peppers, though. The pepper flakes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the quinoa bowls.
Oh
my goodness. And they're so filling. I get the sausage one. I go there like for breakfast. I get the sausage one, quinoa, egg. It fills you up for the whole day. You don't need it. You're done. You're good. You're good till dinner. Jim is the proprietor of Heartwood.
Why do some people use that word versus owner?
It's
Is
synonymous.
it just a choice?
Yeah. Proprietor has more syllables.
I know, and it's harder to say.
Which is why you might shorten it to owner.
Yeah.
Or boss.
Big cheese, head honcho. We could go on and on and
on. It's a great coffee shop. I love it. I work there all the time.
This is multiple. Yes, he has another.
Yeah, there's one in Hudson too. Yeah. He also has this, I believe it's a separate organization called Heartwarming Coffee with a Cause. He talks about gender equality and sustainable innovation and supporting the community by increasing local engagement. And he's very much a do good, support the community, and kind of a dude. Cleveland Magazine gave the iced chocolate latte over there. That's what you get?
My drink.
Well, that was Best of Cleveland 2017.
That's my drink, folks.
Architectural Digest recently named Heartwood the most beautiful coffee shop in Ohio.
Amazing.
Right here, down the street from here in Chagrin Falls.
We have to ask that one, but I think it might have been the Hudson one, but we'll ask.
So I'm going to go get him. I can't wait to talk to him. And then we'll interview him right now. I got to tell you a story before we start.
I'm ready.
So when you first moved in to Heartwood, when you first put Heartwood in there, how long was that? 2 years?
Almost a year. No, it's only a year.
1 year.
The end of July will be a year.
Molly, so until then, I would work. You know how much time I spend in your coffee shop, right?
Don't say the word, though. We'll just call her the ugly green lady.
Until then, I parked
The
it.
mermaid.
I parked it at that coffee shop that
Ugly
shall
green
not
lady.
be named.
Yes.
The Ugly Green Lady. I got to say the name because I got to tell, it's part of the story.
Okay.
All right, we'll make an exception.
Just don't tag them.
I won't. No tagging them. I would only ever work at Starbucks, right? And I had my own cups, right? I always insist on carbon neutral, drinking practices. And so I'd be like, Molly, man, you should go there. They give you 10 cents off when you bring your own cups.
You went to the microphone.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
And Molly was like, I will never set foot in that place, Alex. Right? I only buy coffee from local coffee shops. So whatever. So then I started doing, each summer, I am sponsoring those summer concerts outside your door.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I would get up and I started giving away cups with the Gertzberg Law Firm logo, those collapsible cups. And I said, I would get up and, because I'm a sponsor, I introduced the band. And I'd give away my cups and I'd say, folks, here's what's great about these cups other than that you're protecting the environment. You take these to Starbucks. They'll give you 10 cents off every cup.
I lost my shit.
Molly, and I would do this every weekend. And Molly was like, Alex, if you say that name one more time to all of my audience members here, I'm going to kill you. And I'd be like, all right, I promise next time I will not say them. And I would keep forgetting and I would keep saying it. And Molly would start throwing things at me. Then when you came along, it became easier, right? And because then I started going there and I would slowly. And so now when we introduce our coffee cups, we say, take these to Heartwood. And then when you, and Molly would say, now you don't have to say Starbucks at all. You just replace it with Heartwood. And I did.
Good.
And I did all because of this lady right
Fantastic.
here. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing how uncomfortable we're starting to feel with, certain things, but business in general, like in big business and stuff, and how good it feels to support, somebody in the community who's trying to do it better.
Yeah. I mean, before it was a little harder because the next one was a little far, and our chamber members are a little further up the street, but now it's like, it's easy now.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm glad you got me to start saying Heartwood. Molly.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm glad that you're there, Jim, because that is some good coffee, and we're drinking Heartwood coffee right now.
What are we drinking exactly?
This is our Kenya. We do like one super special coffee kind of at a time. It usually lasts about a month. And this is just a light roast Kenya that's just super juicy.
That's what I like about it.
It's got a ton of flavor. It's a light roast. People, a lot of people really like a dark roast.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going over to Starbucks. They kind of made dark roast real popular. But but this is a real light roast. Got a ton of flavor. It's just,
The light roast has the most caffeine in it, right?
Yeah.
So are we going to be up all night tonight?
Likely.
Partying?
Yeah.
That's the one thing my body has been dying for is just the no caffeine. Not that I drink coffee in the morning, but I was drinking Diet Coke all day long.
Yeah.
So this will be perfect for me.
Are you unaffected by the caffeine in coffee at this point?
I guess so. I'll have a cup of coffee before I go to bed, and that's no big deal. Yeah,
too.
but at the same time, I don't know what developed that. I used to when I was working, I guess I was probably too lazy to wake up early and make coffee. So I kind of trained myself to not have coffee in the morning. But when I got home, what I wanted was a cup of coffee.
Huh.
And so I sort of like, I don't know. I started drinking coffee on a regular basis at night, and I must have got used to it.
And you talked about when you worked before, so you didn't always own a coffee shop.
That's right. Yeah.
What did you do before?
Just before really I opened Chagrin, I was a plumber, and I was a plumber for 12 years.
Damn it! I could have used him. What 3 weeks ago?
Well, and you know what? Every time I tell this story, everybody needs a plumber. There's always somebody who's like, "Oh, can you stop by?" And it was a really good job. It was like something that I never thought that I would get into. It was kind of by accident because I graduated college at the wrong time, and I think I wasn't very pushy enough to go find probably the job that I needed, and I sort of needed something. And oh man, what a great job though. I really learned a lot of great skills, and I mean, I kind of got myself off the ground, but this whole time I'm thinking this isn't really what I wanted to do originally. And I'm not going to be able to do this for the rest of my life and support my family. So I got to figure something out.
Let's go back to when you first opened the doors in Hudson.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge decision. You're how old at that point?
That was only, let's see here, that was only 2 years ago when we opened. So I was 35.
And what made you take that leap to say, you know what, I'm going to start my own business?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously you said you kept plumbing,
Mm-hmm.
which was very smart, but
yeah. So I guess to answer that question, I probably need to go back just a little bit further. And it was really that I had been trying to open businesses or start my own business for a long time. Like I had a little graphic design business. I was doing web design for a little bit, and I just never really got off the ground. I was a wedding photographer for almost 10 years, and I kind of thought that maybe I would do that. But I don't know. I sort of maybe realized that I wasn't as good as I thought I was, you know, and I just like had a lot of little businesses that I kind of tried, but maybe never really finished. But I was always searching. There's something else that I'm kind of meant to do. And I always knew that I wanted to start my own business. And a coffee shop was cool, but like I wasn't just going to quit my job and open a shop. That was way too much risk. And by this time I've got a couple kids and you know, married with a couple kids. And so it's, I mean, just all out opening a shop would be way too big of a risk for somebody like me. And but what I started to do is started to learn about it, and I started to learn about the roasting process, which is really the foundation of what we do, you know. And most people don't even understand what roasting coffee really kind of is. And the more I learned, the more I said, you know, this is actually something I could do at night on the side, and I could get this going. And there was a guy that I was shooting weddings with that I kind of asked to team up with. He was successful and just like a very just entrepreneurial type of spirit, and we did it together. And so we were roasting coffee basically at night and started doing farmers markets for the first couple of years. And it kind of got to the point where it's like, you know, we're into this for 3 years, and maybe I think we had another baby by that point. And I think my wife was kind of like, what's going on? Like, are we doing this or are we not? And I, even to myself, I'm like, I had to prove it to myself that I was serious, that this wasn't just a side thing, that I wasn't just gonna let this fail the same way that the photography and all the other things kind of.
And this was at a time when you had already opened the Hudson location.
No, this is pre-Hudson.
You're just
I'm building
roasting.
up. Yeah, I'm like trying to build a business and stuff like that. And we had a great online presence. We had a huge, like, I wouldn't say huge, but we had a pretty good national presence. Like our Instagram was really good. My partner was a photographer. He like really made us look like we were legit. And we were shipping coffee like crazy. We were doing it all out of my garage. Like it was pretty sweet how it was taken off. But we knew that a physical location was going to kind of legitimize us a little bit and take us to also just to be a local brand. We would go do events and nobody knew who we were. We're like, we're in Cleveland, but we had no face in Cleveland.
right.
And so we were looking and we were looking. And so what kind of propelled us? I think what propelled us is that either we're going to do this and take this thing seriously, or we're going to pack this thing up because it's just taking a lot of time out of our lives, you know?
And you defined seriously as opening up a coffee shop.
I felt like that was like I felt like it was just a big jump.
That was the next natural step, but it would have required financing and signing a lease and doing all that.
Yeah. So
commitment.
When you do that, when you sort of put the money ahead and you say, we're going to do this, and you sign the lease, like you're committed. You know, you can't decide in 2 weeks that you're not doing it anymore.
Right.
And so like, to me, that was like if we were willing to do that, then it told me that we were serious, I guess, you know?
So why the name Heartwood and why Hudson?
Okay. Two very different questions. So we'll go with why Heartwood. Heartwood was just one of those names that we were, my co-founder, who I should say isn't with the company anymore, but his name is Nick, and we would just text, you know, back and forth, names. We really like that sort of 2-syllable name. We just thought that a lot of kind of successful companies, you know, Gertzberg has like two syllables.
That's why I went with it.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So we were kind of those 2-syllable, 2-word type of names. And at the time I was getting into woodworking a little bit and learning about wood and learning about just kind of craftsmanship that way. And Heartwood is something that a lot of woodworkers will throw around. That's the main part of the tree that really you use to build furniture. And I just remember thinking like, that's a nice, warm name. And I kind of threw it up there. And then we did a little bit of research. And, you know, Heartwood is like, it's the center of the tree, and it brings nutrients, especially when the tree's young, from the ground, and sort of delivers it up to the leaves of the tree and stuff like that. And I thought, man, what a cool metaphor for like what we want a coffee shop to be. You know, like and we came up with the slogan, grow together, you know, and it's sort of kind of fit the same way, but it was just sort of like, not necessarily that us as a coffee shop is nurturing the community, but it's but we're all nurturing each other and stuff like that, and through the medium of the Heartwood.
Yeah. Did you know any of that about
No.
the word Heartwood?
No.
I had no idea there was a part of a tree that you made furniture out of,
Yeah.
or that there was a part
I
of
mean,
a
it
tree.
makes sense. It's the cleanest, and they get rid of all the bark and stuff and get down to the heart of the wood.
And it is the hardest part too, you know. So
I do like the metaphor though, because I don't know. Molly knows this, but I don't know if I told you, Jim, one of the times I was over there. I think what's great about cafes is not the sitting and the drinking of the coffee, but it's the other stuff that you're doing when you're sitting or drinking, whether it's working or talking to somebody or reading a book. Each of those things becomes better, I find, when you're surrounded by other people, even if no one's interacting with each other, right? Just having, it's almost like, you just take any of those activities in isolation by yourself and you're antisocial, right? And it's isolating and it's lonely. But you go to a place and there's something about having other people there, and then there's something about the coffee too that makes it seem more familiar, like it's your kitchen.
Sounds like you're writing a Hallmark movie over there.
I should be your marketing executive.
Please do.
Tiffany, my girlfriend, and I go to coffee shops all over everywhere, Ohio, other countries, and just notice what is different about them from the other coffee shops. And yours is definitely different in a lot of ways. The food among them, which we've already talked about behind your back, it's amazing. When you were putting those design elements in, actually, no. Answer the Hudson question
Hudson?
first.
Yeah. I tell a lot of people we didn't really choose Hudson. Hudson chose us, and what it was is we were on the grind trying to find a spot, and we kind of thought we'd go downtown. That was sort of, there's been a lot of coffee shops that have opened since then, but at the time we thought there was still kind of a need, and if we were going to be successful, we wanted to be where there was a lot of people. And that Flats East building was just being built, and so we thought we were going to be able to get into one of those spots. But like you start to really get into it, and you're like, this is too much money to spend on a coffee shop, like this is. And we did that several times over. We looked at the place in Beechwood. There's actually a coffee shop there now in Laplace by the Container Store. So when that was vacant, we were there. We were gonna do it, and it came down to, this is too big of a risk. And so we kind of kept saying no to a lot of spots. And Playhouse Square was another one, like right in Playhouse Square. I actually kind of wish we would have done it, but for our first shop, for our first jump, it was too much. And we were both in the wedding industry, and Molly Taylor is a florist down in Hudson, does phenomenal work. I mean, her stuff is just, I don't know anything about flowers. I just know it looks awesome. And she contacted us. She said, hey, there's a coffee shop actually next to me that's going out of business. She's looking to sell. Okay. So we went down there and looked at it. It's in Hudson. And it was perfect. Like, this lady kind of just wanted to move, and she was done with it. And the project was over. And we basically got an amazing deal. And it was another one of those moments where if we don't say yes to this, we're not doing it ever, because this solves all of our problems right now, And we started looking around Hudson a little bit to kind of decide if this was a good idea. And it was like, man, this town is really great. And, interestingly enough, when I was a plumber, and this is true of Chagrin Falls and this whole area too, but I had an interesting advantage as far as market research went, because I was in a lot of these people's houses, and I got to see the design, and I got to see that people would do a brand new kitchen and put a coffee dedicated spot in their kitchen. And it was just people care about this stuff. People also travel a lot. And one of the biggest things that you kind of experience when you're in Italy or France is the coffee. And I think there's a need for this here. I think there's actually, so we kind of took a chance. We thought Hudson is great, and we signed the lease. And so that's kind of why we ended up in Hudson.
I heard this quote the other day. See if you can fill in this blank. Blank is the entrepreneur's greatest skill. What do you think it is, Jim?
Persistence.
Ooh, that's a good one. The quote that I'm talking about is from a guy named Dan Sullivan, who founded this group I'm in called Strategic Coach, and it's confidence.
Oh, okay.
Right. And I've been dwelling on that. And the way you just described the decision to open up that shop reminded me of it because, characterizing confidence as a skill is great because it means that just like any other skill, you can work on it and build it and grow it. Right. But secondly, I do think it is the greatest skill because that's what makes you take that leap of faith. Right. Because I have to believe that in that moment on that day, when you and your partner and your wife were like, well, this is going to be that moment. It's this, or this does not happen. Right. We sign this lease, or we, or we're just roasting and selling stuff at farmers markets. It's confidence that makes you do that. Right. Do you remember the conflict, right, internally, or was there a conflict internally between confidence and fear?
That's a really good question. I don't think so. Like, I don't think that I ever, of course you're fearful, but I just felt like I was ready and that this was going to work and that this was an opportunity. I was almost, maybe this is fear. I was at a point where I was tired of starting projects and not going through with them, because I got to the point where I almost would look at myself and be like, what, are you just not good enough? Or like, how come you can't finish this stuff? And I had my family in the back of my mind, and I knew that my current job was just not going to go anywhere. And I had got to try something. And I got it in my mind that, like, if every day I wake up and I go to work and I sit in the front seat of this truck and I don't change anything, that in 10 years, I'm going to wake up every single morning and I'm going to go sit in the front seat of this truck. Like, nothing's going to change. So today, I got to change today. So I think even if it was a bad idea, I was at my wit's end with myself.
Yeah.
And I had to do something, like, I was tired of thinking about it. I was tired of talking about it. It was time to, like, act,
And then a year later, you're jumping again.
Yes.
I mean, some businesses, one coffee shop for their whole life is enough.
Yeah.
So you were head to head with that same thing a year later and took another leap. What made you decide to open another shop?
A couple things. I probably, some of it was confidence. I probably got to the point where I felt like I knew I could do it. Even from a construction standpoint, I would build places like that for other people all the time. So I knew I could do it, and we had already built one in Hudson that was doing really well. So I knew I could do that. And I felt like I'd proven myself to myself by doing the first one. And I knew I could do the second one. So what happened was my partner moved to the West Coast, and all of a sudden it was just me by myself. And I had always wanted to be in Chagrin Falls, ever since I had the idea of doing this. I thought, how is there nothing in this town? It didn't make sense to me. And I've spent a lot of time. I would go out of my way when I was working to drive through Chagrin Falls. I just love how it feels here, And it was sort of just, I guess, serendipitous, where I was driving through town and I noticed the for lease sign on the window, and I knew I wanted to have a second store, because I felt like if the first one failed, I was out of business. But if I had a second one, I had the first one could fail and I was still going. I wasn't like, I felt like if the first one failed, I wouldn't do it again.
And it was a Verizon store. I mean, it wasn't
was
even
Verizon
like
store.
I mean, you had to literally start from scratch.
It was an office in every aspect. It was drop ceiling. It was fluorescent lights. It was red and blue walls. It was unappealing. And it probably took a little bit of just my experience in the construction world to see what was going to be in this space, So, yeah. So I think I just decided that this is for real. This isn't a project. This isn't like, I'm still working full time at this point. So I haven't succeeded yet. So I still got to push the envelope a little bit. And I looked at space, and the landlord's amazing. And, he believed in what we were going to do. And so so literally a year later, we signed a lease in the second store.
Is it Shibley?
No, it's Dennis Zdolchek. He's the old owner of Dink's restaurant.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, by the way, this coffee's amazing.
Good.
It almost tastes a little bit like tea.
A lot
It's
of light
got a
roasters like
tea
that.
taste to it. Yeah.
It's very rich.
Yeah.
And I usually do cream in mine, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't find a need.
I didn't bring it on purpose. I thought maybe you'd try it, be forced to try it black if you did.
It's great. I love your number one hit.
Mm-hmm.
According to our research, I do the chocolate,
The latte.
the latte.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but of course, I usually have them take out. I have them put regular coffee and not espresso in it because espresso is too much for me.
Well, let's talk about that, right? What is your, other than using Heartwood coffee beans, what is the perfect cup? What is the recipe? When Molly and I go home with our Heartwood coffee beans, how do we, in your mind, what is the way to produce the perfect cup of coffee?
At home.
Yes.
Make it a K-cup.
Oh, my
Then
goodness.
Molly will make it.
I have these great marketing ideas of where we have like bring your K-Cup to Heartwood Day, and we smash
Destroy 'em.
them out back, and then we give you like, a $20 gift certificate to buy beans or
That's
something.
hysterical.
Well, I've got the reusable ones. I get the ones, like I've used the same K
Oh,
cup.
the little basket.
Yeah, for like 2 years
I have
now.
that as well.
Put in the dishwasher too.
I
Yeah,
got
ready to
you.
go.
Right.
And I did the same thing for a long time. And I remember I was at somebody's house. I was doing a laundry room for them, and they said, "Can I make you a cup of coffee?" And I usually said no because people offer me all the time. I just thought it was kind of weird. But this guy was really persistent, and he made me my first like really good cup of coffee. And he asked me, I said, "Oh yeah, I'm a coffee connoisseur and stuff." He's like, "Oh, what do you brew on?" And I said, "I've got a Keurig machine." And he's like, "You're not a connoisseur,
All right, let's break this down then.
Yep.
All
I
right.
mean, how serendipitous is that?
Yeah.
It's all part of the journey.
It's really amazing. Yeah. A lot of moments
love
like that in the
that.
last 5 years. But yeah, if you're going to go, if you want to make it at home, look, you could get really scientific with it. And it's probably worth it. Like every morning I make a pour over, just like you probably have seen us make pour overs at the shop, and basically it's like you manually brewing a cup of coffee the same way that like your coffee pot would do it. And the advantages are like you get to control all the variables. It's like when I started doing this, my wife thought I was Walter White, and I was like, I had this science lab in our house because there's so many goofy ways to make coffee, but you control the temperature, and you control the grind size, you control how long it takes for that coffee to brew, and you control how much coffee you put in there and how much water you put in there and what type of coffee you bought in the first place and how fresh is it and all these variables that go into making a really good cup of coffee.
Well, all right. Let's break those down, right? Because I'm about to go smash my K cup.
Okay.
Okay. So you do have those. They look like beakers, right?
Yes.
Like, and so what do you call those things?
I call them like a carafe, like just
a carafe, right?
Yeah.
So you put the filter on top of it. Or
Oh,
it comes
the
with
Chemex
filter.
you're talking about. The
Yes.
sort of hourglass looking.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Chemex.
So what is the perfect amount of coffee to water ratio in your mind?
A Chemex is really made for brewing more than one cup of coffee.
Okay.
So if you're brewing with a Chemex, you're probably brewing for your family or a couple, 2 or 3 people, let's just say. And so I like to do like 60 grams of coffee, which is kind of a lot.
Is that like a carafe? What's 60 grams?
60 grams. I mean, no, of coffee.
of the coffee
grounds.
itself, not of the the drink. Okay.
So probably about
I can figure it out right here.
maybe 6 scoops or so.
Okay.
Wow.
So and grams and milliliters are interchangeable, which is really nice about the metric system. But so we do by weight.
So 60 grams,
Yep.
and that creates how much?
About a liter, so about your
liter.
Nalgene
Okay.
bottle of coffee.
And how fine? So I grind my own beans at home,
Fantastic.
right? How fine is your ideal coffee grinding
For
operation?
a Chemex is going to be coarser than you think. So coarser than like a regular coffee pot. Like if you went to the store and just got a regular ground coffee bag of coffee, you'd go a little bit coarser than that. So between like your regular coffee and a French press.
Okay.
Because the idea is that you have a lot of coffee in there. 60 grams is a lot of coffee. You're brewing for 3 or 4 people at that point.
Yeah.
So if it's super fine, as soon as you put that water in, it's going to act like sand, and it's just going to clog the filter and stop.
I grind it so fine.
Yeah.
This is so helpful to me. So like I'm
Well,
doing
don't
everything.
give him any more. Or he's
I'm
not going to
doing-
come to your shop and
I'm
get
doing
coffee.
everything wrong. So okay. So and then temperature wise?
Mm-hmm.
Boiling? Am I boiling the water?
Boil the water and then let it sit for a second. Like if you boil it and you took it off the stove and then you finish doing whatever you were doing to get ready, it's probably ready. Okay. We set our temperature at 208 degrees.
208.
And then we just figure by the time we get it into our kettle and we go over to make the coffee, it's cooled down a couple degrees. About 205, 206 is what we aim for perfect temp.
All right. And then when you're, so I'm imagining Heather over there holding the
kettle.
The kettle, right, pouring. And you just kind of see her just kind of, talking and doing her thing. And and there isn't, it seems like you don't want to just dump all the water on. You want to just kind of let it stream gently on, right? like a squirt gun almost. I mean, just like a little stream going onto your coffee.
And
Molly.
I tell people, it's like you're laying the water on the coffee.
Yes, exactly.
You don't want to disrupt the coffee bed,
Would you two like me to leave so you can have a moment?
You want to elegantly, gently lay the water onto the coffee.
I'm feeling very uncomfortable.
Oh my okay, so I've just got, those are all really good tips. I've been doing it all wrong.
So what do you think, based on him grinding it finely? Is that the fine? And dumping the water on top.
Yeah.
What do you suppose tomorrow? What flavor is he going to benefit from doing it a little less fine and taking his time with the swirl?
Well, it'll actually taste good. Will be the first thing. It's easier to explain that by saying what went wrong with what you're doing now. It's going to be really over extracted, and when the coffee only has so much flavor to give, essentially. So if you try to take more than it has, that's when it gets super bitter. So if it's bitter and it's strong and it's just kind of like almost like papery, like it may be like in your mouth, like the mouthfeel isn't like nice and full and juicy, then you probably over extracted. Yeah.
Let's talk about roasting. I met this dude in St. Thomas who grew coffee beans in Puerto Rico on his farm. And he said to me something that I still to this day think is just bananas. And that is that coffee beans are actually green in their original form.
Yeah. And they're not beans at all. They're seeds.
Yeah. So you get them as walk us through your roasting process to the extent that it's not like a trade secret. I don't want to give away the secret Pepsi formula here.
I don't even know that there is one. And if there was, it wouldn't be translated to different applications. I won't go that deep anyways, but yeah, the basic idea is it's produce, and we buy really good coffee the same way that you would buy really good tomatoes at the farmer market.
Where do you buy them from?
We buy them through an importer right now. So for example, Cafe Imports is like a really kind of a popular importer that they go to farm level and they sort of make sure that everything is like people are being treated right and that the coffee is being grown organically, or at least in a very like kind of a way that brings out really good flavor, that just everything is kind of correct. They're one that we trust. And it's really great because they sort of funnel coffee from all different countries into one spot. We can get samples. Before I was here, we just sampled some coffees from Sumatra and from Papua New Guinea. And we'll put a bunch on the table. We'll pick the one that we like, and then we kind of know what to buy.
Do they come to you, or do you go somewhere to pick it out?
They ship it to us.
Okay.
So the samples they ship to us, and then once we decide that, then we'll put an order in, and then you're talking about pallets of coffee. So they show up on a truck.
Go back to the farming of it. You said it was a seed and not a bean.
Yes.
So how is it grow? Is it a plant?
It's a tree. Yeah. This is important.
Yes, it is. Because I don't know.
It's coffee it's more like a gnarly shrub. Like it's kind of like a tree basically, and it has a bunch of cherries on it. And it's real similar to like I guess the way a grapevine maybe would look, or a currant, if you know, like currant, where there's like a long branch and there's tons of little berries off of them. And it's just like any other fruit that grows on a tree. It's green when it's raw, and then it goes yellow and it becomes red. And a lot of these are hand picked, and so they can go through and literally pick the cherries. They call them coffee cherries off the tree, and put them in their basket or whatever. And then they have to separate the fruit. Think of like a peach. You got a seed in the middle. They have to separate the fruit from the coffee cherry.
So it has a shell on, or I'm calling it a
soft,
shell. But
yeah, but yes.
So then they got to open that up and then
in there, there's 2 seeds. So if you ever notice, like, coffee's kind of flat on one side and it's sort of round on the backside, there's 2 seeds in every single cherry.
Like a walnut.
Like a walnut. And they're facing each other and they're happy little twins in there. And you pick that cherry and the only thing you get out of there is 2 little coffee beans.
And are they all picked by hand?
Most of the ones that we buy are. And
did you say that you are using the importer that you use because they only buy from like farms that sustainable kind of farms?
Yeah, it's not like they're pretty big, but they're not like they really care about what's going on. Like they go to the farms and they see it. And that sort of thing is super important to us because there's a lot of bad rap in other countries with, like, workers who aren't being treated right. So the bad thing is I'm taking somebody's word for that. Okay. So like they've told me that and I guess I believe it. It's just like how you buy something that says organic on the label. I guess I should believe it because they say it, but I don't really know. To solve that problem, within the next year, we're going to start visiting some of these farms ourselves. Yeah. And we'll get to actually see firsthand, what these people, we'll get to shake the hand of the farmer and stuff like that. And it's just like going to the farmer's market, except we have to go to Costa Rica and Ethiopia to do it,
Here's your documentary on
and
that.
We'll probably take a photographer with us just to share the story with everybody. But yes, why would I and Starbucks does this. A lot of other places, this isn't like new ground or anything, but it's the right thing to do, to make sure people are being treated right.
Right. Speaking of which, well, actually, before I go to this question about people being treated right, walk us through that roasting process all the way through.
Yeah, because I want to finish that farming part. So you open it up and you take the bean. Is that what I would see in a bag, or is there another process? Yeah,
it's like a green, and if you I should have brought some, but if you smell them, they're like grassy and they're very earthy, and it's a seed, and so that's how we get it. Those kind of quintessential burlap bags, we get them in like 130-pound bags of raw coffee. And then at that point, we bring them into our facility and we have to roast them. So the roasting process is amazing. It's so scientific. It's very basic from the outside. You're essentially cooking seeds. They're in a drum, like a big drum that rolls around, and there's flames on the outside of that drum, and there's airflow moving through there, and you're basically taking it from raw to cooked. But if you've ever tried to make a cake or cookies or brownies, like, that you could get it done, but a true pastry chef can like blow your mind when they're done, even with the same ingredients. And that's our job, is to take something that has had so much care put into it to this point and then roast it in a way that actually caramelizes all the sugars that are inside the coffee, and really like not over roast it, not under roast it, but really like nail it, make it taste bring it to its best potential, And
where's that process done?
Right up the street here. We have a place right in Chagrin Falls, right over by the roller rink.
And how do you test that? You would have to then pour it. It's not like you can nibble the bean and say, "Oh yeah, that's it."
It's a long process. So after we roast it, we let it. Then when it comes out of our roaster, it looks like the coffee that you're used to. So then we let it rest for a few days, because super fresh coffee isn't the best way to enjoy. You usually let it sit for 3-4 days. So you wait, you taste it, and you say, "Okay, this is really good, but I think I can make it sweeter if I add more airflow to the roasting process during this portion of the reactions that are happening inside of that bean." And we could make it taste cleaner and smoother, or more tea-like, instead of muddy and roasty and bready or burnt. And so we say, okay, next time we're going to roast, and at this certain juncture in the roasting process, which only takes about 12 minutes or less, we're going to make an adjustment. And then
are you journaling all of this so that you would know the next time?
We track everything on a graph that's hooked up to a computer.
The last thing you want to do is ruin an entire batch of beans because you've roasted. Yeah,
and you don't know what to fix if you don't know what you did differently, or if what you did differently gave you the results of what you were looking for,
I could see how your wife would say that you were like Walter White in the back, just mixing stuff up. And
what about flavor? So do true coffees people do pump because you really don't want to throw anything on the bean to make the flavor, right? Or
it's like putting A1 sauce on a really good steak. It's like you got to do something to make it palatable, so you pump. So you put a little whatever in there and stuff like that. So our ultimate goal, and I guess we're a little bit snobby and we should be, is that we're bringing out the natural flavor of the coffee, and that's enough. Now, we offer syrups and stuff that we hand make ourselves and that are really good and we're proud of, but we really think that the coffee by itself is amazing.
Right. And you also are a business and you want to
That's exactly
the customer
true.
happy
Yeah,
too.
if we told everybody they're drinking black coffee, I'd be home by now.
Yeah.
You know, so
So Jim, there's a question that I forgot to ask earlier, and that's when you were designing. So Heartwood, when I walk in, it kind of exudes. It feels like it's my kitchen, right? I feel like I'm walking into my house. You know,
Is your kitchen that well decorated?
no, I wish it were. I should have said my dream kitchen.
Gotcha.
But it's just, I don't know if it's the lighting, if it's like just the exposed wood. It
Those
just doesn't.
mirrors in the window are brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant.
What were you thinking about, like when you were designing it? And I haven't been to the Hudson one. Does it look the same? Is it the same feel?
Yeah, and that was sort of the idea, is that we wanted Chagrin to have its own character, but we wanted it to feel like a Heartwood when you walked in.
Yeah.
And we had kind of won some awards for the design in Hudson, and through architectural design,
Right.
and Food and Wine magazine did a bunch of, and we were brand new and we're getting published by these like really great magazines. And a lot of that was, my partner was a part of that when we first designed that, and they just have a really great aesthetic. And the other part of it was that, like I said, I could have been in your house. Like I knew what the people who were remodeling their kitchens wanted it to look like. And I mean, I could have done marble countertops and we could have went a lot farther with it, but I kind of knew what would feel comfortable to the people in the community. So yeah, when we designed Chagrin, it was like, well, it was a couple of things. One is I had to not spend a lot of money. So what could we do cheap? What could we do by ourselves? But two was, how could we make it look kind of like Hudson? But three, how could we give it its own charm? That brick wall is an amazing example. That was not exposed when we moved in there. We didn't even know it was there. And it was like a light bulb moment. We were looking at pictures. It used to be the firehouse there. And it had brick walls.
Wow.
And we're like, I mean, the brick wall didn't go anywhere, right?
Right.
And we took a chance and just chopped a hole in the wall.
Wow.
And cut some drywall, and then it was like plaster, and I thought I was at a dead end. I'm like, oh man. And I took a hammer and I smashed the plaster and it popped off, exposing this beautiful brick. And you stand back and you go, this is going to be a bear of a project, but we're doing it. I mean, we cannot not
Right.
expose this brick, you know? And so even just doing that brought so much character to that space. And I sit back sometimes and I say, I don't know, like we did all the work ourselves. Like my wife and I did just about everything with some friends and family. And like, I'm just a plumber. Like I don't have a good aesthetic. My house doesn't look like that, but like we were able to pull it off. And I get people who come in and say, who's your interior designer? Cause I want them to do my, my kitchen. And I'm like,
His name's Jim.
yeah, his name's Jim and he's
Yeah.
a plumber.
You're
Like,
looking at him.
Yeah. It's weird to me. It's not weird. It's awesome to hear people compliment on it. Cause I never would have thought that I was maybe capable of like pulling off something that people would want to be in.
You can tell. Well, so that's interesting that you described it that way, because we do, as I mentioned, go into a lot of cafes, and there's definitely, it is noticeable when they did get a designer, and it's also, to me, noticeable when they're trying too hard, when they're trying to create an aesthetic that isn't really part of the place or part of their brand, or I don't know. Like there's this, I don't want to crap on the competition,
Right,
but
right.
there's definitely places that we go into that feel a little bit contrived, and that is not the case at Heartwood. What is where does Grow Together come from?
Yeah, that was something that my other co-founder Nick, that he kind of came up with.
That's the motto of Heartwood.
Yeah,
right?
and it's funny. I just we've been trying to think about what's our mission as a company, and how am I going to accurately describe what our mission is. I thought that's really important. We really haven't had one, and it just finally dawned on me that like we've had it all along. Grow together. So what does that mean? Like it just means like it means so much. Like if you really start to think about it. So grow together. It's about developing a community we have lots of regulars and we know their names by heart and we know what their drinks are and stuff like that. And it's just kind of cool that we've developed like a cheers type of atmosphere in Heartwood. So that's one way. Another way is maybe like you were saying, people will come in and work on things, and like maybe you're at separate tables and maybe you don't even know what each other's doing, and it's probably none of your business, but like you're growing yourself, but you're kind of doing it together. And then it's just as we buy more expensive and really better quality coffee, we're helping our farmers grow their business, as we just hired managers for both stores. So like the idea of like, killing the idea that this is just like a coffee shop job and that you can actually like learn something valuable by working at Heartwood. So as an employer, as an employee, we can grow with us together. Mm-hmm. We can, kind of better ourselves and help follow the dream and stuff like that. And it's all about just, like anything we do, we should first ask if this helps all parties grow. And if it does, then I think it's something that Heartwood's into. And if it hurts somebody in the process, then it's something that we need to really seriously think about changing.
So coming from dabbling a little bit in the restaurant world mm-hmm. For 5 years, I think I was, flipping tables is what you do. Mm-hmm. You want your customer or your guests in and out because mm-hmm. you want the next check coming. Mm-hmm. A coffee shop has a different pace to it mm-hmm. where you have Alex Gertzberg kind of, making his address Heartwood.
My satellite.
Satellite, yes. Obviously, that's not bringing in funds to mm-hmm. help grow the business.
I disagree. I spent a lot of money at Heartwood.
But you know what I mean?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Well, this is the way I see it. And I get this question all the time. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't okay, I wouldn't offer free Wi-Fi, And so by offering you free Wi-Fi and a comfortable place to sit, I'm saying come and hang out. So yeah, okay, you're taking up a table and maybe you're one person taking up a 4-seat table, and that could be bad, I guess. But for right now, as we're growing and as we're just trying to develop a customer base, and we're really young. Like I said, we're not even a year in Chagrin Falls. I would rather somebody walk into Heartwood right now and see every table full, even if none of those people are making me more money every hour, mm-hmm. and say, this place is awesome. It's the hot spot. This is a cool place to be. I want to be here. Then for all of those people to have come and got their coffee and left, and then that person walk into an empty coffee
mm-hmm.
shop. The atmosphere is about the people, So if ever we get to the point where like there's not enough room for people to work, I hope that happens, because that means that we should have a bigger space, that we should expand. Like I understand the sentiment, but part of what, if you're not going to come to a coffee shop and do it, like you're writing a book, right? So like, Alex, so if you can't come to a coffee shop and do it, where are you going to go do that at? And the reason we opened this space was to have that space. Sometimes you don't want to go get a drink to have a meeting, or sometimes you don't want to go spend a bunch of money at a restaurant, but like you can pop into a coffee shop. As we grow, the goal for us will be how to make those people who are sitting there more profitable, and mm-hmm. that's probably through food and stuff like that.
Sunday afternoon game day, board game day.
That's great.
Everyone bring their own board game.
That's awesome.
Sunday afternoon, drink coffee.
Yeah.
I would say it would be a night, but no one's going to drink coffee during the night.
Yeah, because
I know that chatter on the village block has been, other than the president visiting, mm-hmm. has been. Having a board game night. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be fun, like a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. Or even mm-hmm. like, so that would be Sunday afternoon, and maybe like on Thursday night, it's like euchre night.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that.
Can we just start a euchre? John and I are huge euchre people.
I would play euchre until I passed out. You play euchre, Jim?
No.
Let's do it.
Never played.
Come on.
Molly, when you played euchre, did you play with the pizza rule? If you win 10-0, the other side owes you a pizza.
No, but I'm all for that.
All right, that's how we're playing.
Okay, I love
it. Jim, we're going to take a short break, sure. And then we're going to come back and we're going to throw the most difficult and complex questions at you that anyone has ever asked you. So you might want to pour yourself some more coffee, whatever you need to do to calm yourself down, because it's about to get real.
All right.
Folks, we'll be right back. Hey folks, Alex Gertzberg here. I am CEO of the Gertzberg Law Firm and cover my 6 and I hope you're enjoying the show so far. I wanted to take a quick second to tell you about something special we're doing at Cover My Six. If you own or run a business, I want you to go to covermysix.com to see if you qualify for a no-cost business vulnerability assessment. My business lawyers will meet with you in person, go over your customer contract, your employee handbook, and your other key legal documents, and help you spot any legal minefields that they see. We'll also give you some guidance on how to stop those minefields from blowing up your business. So go to covermysix.com to see if you qualify and to sign up. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the show. All right, we're back.
I'm so glad you came back, Alex. We were worried.
I know. All right, you ready for the lightning round, Jim?
I will say that I have been. I shouldn't give my first answer away.
Preparing.
Well, this part of the podcast gives me the most anxiety.
You're not the first person to say that.
Yeah. Like I almost was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to handle.
I think you'll do just fine.
You'll be fine. You'll be
Molly.
fine. Yes. So, James, what are you binging?
The best podcast ever.
He has prepared.
I love that.
Good call.
I love that.
Have you listened to a bunch of episodes?
Well, honestly, a lot of it was just preparing. But then once you start listening to a couple, you're like, well, this is valuable
good stuff,
information in here. This is really, really good. And you know, we don't have a cable or anything like that at home, and so like we really aren't. My family and I, you know, not real big TV people, but I do spend a lot of time in the car. So I spend a lot of time with audiobooks and podcasts, and so yeah, that's like not to like kiss your butt or anything, but that's what I've been listening to you guys talk. Yeah,
I will say this, Molly, we are now the longest running and widest audience having podcast in all of Chagrin Falls.
Wow.
True that.
And I would even say in all of the Chagrin Valley.
Valley.
Do you think we're the biggest in Cleveland? I mean, name a Cleveland podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm thinking like we should have a podcast day at the coffee place where they're just playing all 97 of our episodes all day long, and we'll be there live doing what we do. I tell you need to join the chamber so I can properly be Molly, putting all these things into motion.
Yeah,
legally. Right now, I can't legally do all that.
Next lightning round question, Molly.
Okay. Your perfect day.
Perfect day. There's a lot, I guess. A lot of options.
You have a whole day.
Got a whole day. I think I would wake up in the morning and go out to breakfast with my wife. And then I would probably go on like a real hearty hike. Like I love just being outside and stuff like that. So I would, if I could do even just like 10 miles or something like that, I would love to just go out, do that, spend a few hours. And then I tell you what, this sounds crazy, but what I'm doing right now is so awesome. Like, and I don't know what Heartwood will become, but like, I do not hesitate at all when I'm like, coming into the shop in the morning. Like I would come and get coffee. So that'd be my next step. And I would come to our shop. Like there's not another place I'd rather go to get coffee. That's not a sales plug. I just love it, So, I would go get coffee. I guess I haven't really thought about it much after that, but it probably just spend time with my family. Yeah. Just spend time with the kids and stuff like that.
Okay.
And, I don't know, maybe go out to dinner at the end of the day, cook out at home. I'm not sure. Just quality time with the family.
Well, it's interesting that answer interests me a little bit because the ultimate goal, I've always felt like the ultimate goal of entrepreneurship is to design a lifestyle where the way you're working and like your optimal day are kind of the same. Which so your answer, it almost seems like you have accomplished the freedoms that people become business owners to get, right? To get those freedoms, relationships and time and, money and just but most importantly, just choices, right? And if you're spending time as a business owner the way you would spend time
anyways.
I mean, it's like, that's the dream, you know?
Yeah. And I think about that stuff a lot because for so long, I felt like I was working in an industry where I felt trapped. Like I did not feel free. I couldn't do anything other than what I was told, you know?
Right.
And I was choosing to do it every day. It's not like I was against my will, but yeah, a lot of the reason why I wanted to follow this sort of career path was I'm not going to live the rest of my life feeling like I'm imprisoned, you know?
Right.
And I don't know. Am I living my dream? I don't know. But like, I'm not having bad days. Like I enjoy everything that I do.
Well, and the other half of that equation is that you are present and mindful, and you are like, I'm guessing that there are parts of your day, parts of running a cafe that are not glamorous or sexy. And the fact that you would choose to do that on your ideal day, right? That has a presence about it that I think is, you know, that's the other half of that equation is you're loving what you're doing, even though it's not necessarily glamorous, you know?
Yeah. And I was coming in, you know, to the shop one day and I was listening to something online and they were talking about hunger in the world and stuff like that. And I just thought, who am I to even have a bad day? You know, like even my worst day is I'm so blessed and everything is so, this is really great. And then the other thing is that because I kind of have that entrepreneurial spirit, like I can reinvent myself at any point. Like even hiring these managers, that's going to replace me, which is cool because now what I love to do is build things. So what's next? You know, what's the next thing that I'm going to work on? And it gives me like a rejuvenation and this will never get old. I feel like.
By the way, this is your water. I don't know why.
You've had that entire time?
Yeah, and you didn't say a word. You had no water.
So
I don't know why.
Can barely keep us choking down.
I'm sitting here drinking my.
You get two full ones.
I know. You got nothing in front of you.
Okay. My last one is what's on your mind?
What's on my mind? Wow. My mind is going constantly. I feel like I never, yeah, might be, that's what it is. I should stop.
No.
Is that why you're stopping
the
soda?
No.
So what is on my mind? I think the biggest thing on my mind is actually just like my family and my house. I think for the longest time, a lot of the drive that I had to build Heartwood was that I would eventually be able to like, you know, we live in an old house that's outdated that needs a lot of work, and we have a growing family, and it's just not really set up for us. And you know, my justifications for starting Heartwood was that like I gotta be able to make enough money that when we need a roof, I could put a roof on the house and things like that. And you know, people ask me a lot like, when's the third coffee shop coming and stuff, and I just decided that my next project is to sort of make true on a lot of those promises that I gave to my wife over the last 5 years of saying that like the reason we're doing this is because and so we started just this last couple of weeks working on the house and kind of making some updates and I think that's my next big project. So that's kind of the thing I think about.
And you have four kids.
Yeah. 7, 6, 4, and 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
We might want to bleep out some of the curse words that we
when they listen to this on the way to school.
Thank you, Molly. That was spectacular.
Thank you, Alex.
Well done.
James.
Yes.
You are shipwrecked on a desert island for a minimum of 3 months, but potentially for the rest of your natural born life.
Right.
You may bring with you any single musician's entire discography.
Right.
Who's the musician?
You know what the problem I have with this question is? That it has to be a desert island. Why can't it be like lush and like tropical trees?
That's a great question, James. And the answer is because I said
because
so.
you said so. Yeah, I sort of saw that coming. This is going to be a polarizing one that I feel like is
controversy. Let's hear it.
Yeah. So I would say John Mayer. Now, a lot of people hate John Mayer. And I get why, because him as a person, I don't really care for, but even some of his music, I don't care for. This is the reason why. I grew up with, my dad was a guitar player and he listened to a lot of blues. And so I grew up on like Robert Cray and Stevie Ray Vaughan and B.B. King and Eric Clapton and stuff like that. And the Allman Brothers and stuff like that is in my soul. Actually, the Allman Brothers would have been a perfect substitute if I couldn't take this other one. But when John Mayer kind of came out, and after he got his like first album out of the way, he started proving that he actually could play guitar really, really well. And I was like, maybe this is like my guy. Like I've always been listening to my dad's guys, but maybe this is like the guy that I could kind of look up to. And I feel like there's an album for every like feeling. There's some slow stuff. So if I was down, I could listen to that. There's some really good just guitar stuff that would just get me jazzed and pumped. And it would be a happy medium for me.
Oh, he really thought this through.
Well, I got a comment. So I can now see why you had a problem with Desert Island versus lush, tropical, beach-like. B, I saw John Mayer play with the Dead in Columbus, and he killed it.
It's unbelievable.
I did not ever imagine that he could play electric guitar that well. Mm-hmm. I mean, like 20-minute solos, just amazing, crushed it. And I forgot what my third point was, but that's an interesting.
I have a theory on John Mayer.
Go.
I think he is married to Andy Cohen.
Heard it here first.
Interesting.
Watch some of they're very, very good friends. Okay. Very good friends. And watch, especially his birthday party. He had on his show, Watch What Happens Live, John Mayer switched up and John was the host and Andy was the guest. And there's, I
remembered what my third point was. Yeah.
Did that help you?
No, not at all. It just created space for it to come back to me. The old classic blues musicians that you mentioned in the same sentence, right? Yeah, are so there's definitely overlap because John Mayer's playing some of that stuff now, right? Yes, yeah. But if you were stranded on an island for potentially the rest of your life and you grew up, and believe me, I'm not criticizing. I think John Mayer does have chops and
chose John Mayer over Eric Clapton.
Or like, because I, like you, or maybe not like you, but growing up, like I remember being 16 years old and wishing nothing more than to be like a 65-year-old old black blind blues musician, right? And thinking those guys like, just R.L. Burnside and John Lee Hooker and all those guys, right? Yeah. I thought Leadbelly, they had such great stories. Like they murdered people and they were boxers and they were in jail and they wrote songs and they came up, from like just the poorest places and they wrote the songs that eventually became today's rock songs, right? So I would romanticize those guys that way and think, yeah, I would take those guys on a shipwrecked desert island, but I can also see though the nuance, right? Because you would bring a guy like John Mayer who does write really beautiful songs, but today, right? Yeah. I mean, he puts a modern spin and still has the chops to play those dudes.
I'd go to a desert island with John Mayer. Let's be honest.
What if he's gay?
Can I go with him?
Yeah. Would you still want to go? Anyway,
I'd turn him down.
You would turn him.
Let's be honest.
The title of this episode should be "I Would Turn John Mayer, if he's in fact gay." James,
it's all about love, Alec.
It is.
It's not about the sex. No, it's about the love.
You're right. Same island, same amount of time. Yeah. You may now bring with you any single author's entire bibliography. Yeah. Who's the author?
This is a hard one because I really don't read, So, I mean, like, I don't know what I'm not going to read if I'm on a desert island. The last thing I'm going to do is read a book.
What else are you going to do?
I'm going to listen to John Mayer. No, you know what I'm going to do is, I'm going to build a boat or something. Like, I'm not going to like just chill and read. Like I'm going to be hunting for my food. I don't know. I'm thinking about it too critically.
really reverse engineering this question.
Well, I thought if this is going to give me anxiety, maybe I could twist it back on you. So a lot of the stuff I read now is just business education, and they're not people that I'd want to listen to on a regular basis. Right. But I would probably some sort of philosopher, and I would probably go with like a C.S. Lewis or something like that, something that would potentially bring me hope or just critical thinking. And there's been a lot of times, and I've only read like 1 or 2 books by C.S. Lewis, but it's just fascinating to me because it's very convincing to me, and it's very non-emotional in a way.
Are we talking about The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe?
Yeah,
C.S. Lewis?
yeah.
So are those the books you're talking about?
No.
So he wrote philosophical books?
He wrote a lot of it has to do with Christianity, but it's more of like I guess it's a lot of it. Like he has one. We actually saw a play, my wife and I, called The Screwtape Letters, and it's basically the written from the perspective of the devil training one of his like lead evil angels to capture the soul of somebody on earth.
Wow.
And like a lot of it is like this evil angel is trying to learn his ways or learn how to be like the devil kind of thing. And it's just really fascinating, you know?
All right.
Yeah. So
interesting choice. Good choice.
Yeah.
I think actually one of our other I think we did hear that in the answer to that question once before.
Mm-hmm.
You are not alone.
Oh, good.
You are in the desert, though.
Yeah,
you
it
are
doesn't
alone
matter.
in the desert with C.S. Lewis and John. James.
Yeah.
What is the habit or routine that you do on a daily or regular basis that has given you the most mileage?
Mm-hmm. Waking up.
You're a card.
I'm trying so hard.
That is literally the actual answer to that question.
Yes.
Yes.
But for everyone,
Hey.
that and breathing and
Yeah,
eating.
right. Yeah.
Sometimes you know.
Would you like to keep? I don't want to mess with your answer.
No, that's not really my answer. I just don't know what to say. I'm not a habitual person in that regard. You know, like I'm very much a fly by the seat of my pants type of guy, which is actually not a good recipe for somebody who owns their own business. But I listen to a lot of podcasts where people talk about great routines and how it really I wake up every morning and I journal and I drink a glass of water and then I walk out the door.
Obviously been listening to Alex.
And stuff like,
Those are all his habits.
We listen to the same podcast.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I sit back and I say, yeah, that sounds really smart. I'm going to do that. You know, I never do anything.
You don't do any of those?
I wake up in the morning and I fumble to the shower and I get dressed. And if the kids are up, I say goodbye to them and I'm gone. And then I just have to tackle whatever is like thrown at me. But I've really hate that about myself in a lot of ways too. Like I don't want to just be a responder. I want to be I want to be in control of everything. And like I guess this is actually a good one. I just thought about it. I turned off the notifications for email on my phone. So like I used to be the kind of person where if an email came through, bam, I got to answer it right now. And eventually I just decided that I will answer emails on my own time. Like if you need to get a hold of me right away, you know, that's what phones or text messages are for. But emails are handled when I get around to it. And so I sit down and I usually have an hour a day. I get through all my emails and somebody might be mad if I don't get right back to them, but I've just kind of learned to make it their problem and not mine. So
that's a good hack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah.
The Christie, the question that we call the Christie after our good friend Christy George, publisher of Neighbors Magazine. You should talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
We'll make a little intro for you.
Fantastic.
Where are you living now?
Burton, Ohio.
I don't know if we can.
I
don't know if that's one of the neighbors communities. But Chagrin, I mean, I guess you got to live in the anyway.
Oh.
The Christie is.
I spent a lot of time at the shop in
There you
Chagrin.
go. There you go. Just give that address.
The Christie is. If you could interview any person who ever lived, who would it be? Other than Molly and me.
Oh, dang. I was going to just knock it out right now.
And
Flip the
John
script.
Mayer.
Can't be that.
Yeah. I don't know, I guess, but it would be somebody like somebody who's made like a big impact on social change, like a Martin Luther King or that kind of thing, where somebody like really believe. So this is a vague answer, but you get where I'm going. Like somebody really believes in something and then acted upon that in a really
Made a difference.
intense way. Yeah. And I just really respect that in people. And I think that was one of the things that I had to teach myself with starting a business is that like nobody's going to do it for you. Like if you believe in something, you got to do it. You have to move forward. You have to make action. You can't just sit around and wait for it to happen to you. Like if you want to like go meet somebody, it's not going to happen just by sitting at home. Like you have to make action. And so I think somebody who has such a strong, especially like a selfless type of like feeling, and then goes out and acts. Mother Teresa would be another really good one. Like minus myself, like I don't care about what is like what my needs are or anything like that, but I see a grander and bigger picture and people who are oppressed, and I think I can help. And so I just really have a lot of respect for people who have kind of sacrificed their life. Actually, this is just a little plug for my wife, but like this is how I feel about my wife. She's a stay-at-home mom. We have 4 kids. Like there is very little about her that's her anymore, because she gives so much to our children, and raising our family is such an important thing. So like, I just have a better respect for mothers and stuff like that now. But yeah, I would say Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, like people who've brought big social or humanitarian change.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
At their own at their own expense, at the risk of their own lives.
Make
100%.
sure that your wife's listening to this episode, because you're going to get some major points.
I thought if I threw that in there, maybe if I screwed up earlier, she would forgive me, you know?
Okay.
It's so funny.
Here is the last and final question of the lightning round. And this may be the one that has given you the most anxiety.
It is.
Well, it depends on the story.
Jim Sanders, what is an embarrassing thing about yourself that very few people know? And for extra credit, that no one else knows.
So because I'm so critical, I've challenged you on every other question. I might as well challenge you on this one. What makes you think that I want to share that with you?
It's very. I really like how contentious Jim is, Molly.
Yeah.
He's really pushing back on a lot of these questions.
Yeah.
Most guests, they just come here and they just take it.
They just do it. Yeah.
They just answer your questions. Jim's like, no.
Yeah, who are you?
Yeah, really.
Yep.
I'm here on your
best,
podcast.
Best
You should be.
podcast ever. That's who we are.
That's a good point.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't want it, then we'll pull the whole thing.
I like it. I like the back and forth, Jim.
Yeah.
But seriously, now you have to answer the question.
Man, it's so hard because I think about stuff like this and I'm like, I don't want to say I don't have any regrets, but like there's not a lot of things that I'm like think is like, yeah, that's a good answer. That's a good like embarrassing thing. And it sounds like I'm copping out, but I have thought about this a lot. Like
obviously.
I got to come to the table here with something, and here I sit. I guess this, I don't know, it was embarrassing thing that happened, or just anything.
It's anything embarrassing about yourself that very few people know about.
I don't know. This probably isn't embarrassing, but this is what I was thinking about earlier. Is just that, you know, you talked about confidence and stuff like that, and I think that I have a very like large lack of confidence. And I think people see me as like a leader, and they see me as like, you know, but like I question everything that I do. It's actually kind of cool because then I ask a lot of questions of people, and it actually it brings us together. But yeah, I like question everything. Like I have a lot of like, maybe it's just insecurity a little bit. Like, is this the right decision? You know, I'm making a decision for a lot of people. Making a decision for my family. Is this right? You know, and we've been able to push Heartwood to like a pretty great level, but even within like the business, like every day I'm like, I hope I'm making the right decision. Like, I hope this is right. And it might take me a long time to do something because I just question and question and question and question. And you want to make the right choice. You don't want to be so quick, but I think I just have a lack of confidence in a lot of ways.
I love that answer. That is the most accurate description of business ownership.
I would think so.
You know?
I would
like
think
you never
that probably
really
makes
know.
a successful person.
Yeah.
Is how
exactly.
much you question yourself.
It's that, and then it gets back to just, you know, pulling the trigger, right? Being able, despite the uncertainty, despite the constant questioning and the constant skepticism, being able to say, all right, I'm going to start a business now, right? I'm going to sacrifice the stability of a paying job that has been putting food on the table for the last however many years you were a plumber, to now putting all of my eggs into this basket, despite my mind constantly questioning my decisions. That is the truest, I think, description of an entrepreneurial mind. Is questioning, but then having that confidence to pull the trigger.
And I, my sisters will tell me this a lot, where they're like, I could never do what you've done, you know? And I look at my sisters as being way more smart than I am. Like, and I'm like, you actually feel that way? Like, I'm surprised. It surprises me, because I thought you guys just look at me like I'm a mess up, and stuff like that. And so it's interesting as you kind of like become more self-aware of things, how you kind of learn how other people kind of view you, and I've become okay with that. Like, it's actually kind of cool. Like, I can use it to my advantage, and
I have to tell you too. I mean, I have surprised myself when I've told people that same thing that you just said about myself, right? That they, like my employees, right? Like I've told, we've had meetings here where I've said, with as much vulnerability as possible, a lot of the path that you saw that got us here was filled with failure, was just filled with uncertainty, and sometimes with shame, because I made such a bad call, and so I appreciate so much that you guys are still following me, and that you are here and you're relying on me to make decisions despite how fraught with peril the past has been. And I've been surprised at how well that's been received. So, I mean, I think it shows that you're human, and that you're fearless, Were you going to say something?
No, I guess to mirror kind of what you said, I think about that with my staff too. We have people who work for Heartwood who have kids and are using Heartwood to support their families and stuff like that. Nick, who's our roaster, is just one of the most cerebral coffee guys that I've ever met. And he's in charge of basically our coffee, but he's got 2 kids and a wife. And I think like every decision that I make not only affects my own family, but it affects everybody else. And like, I really take that seriously. And so, yeah, like I used to probably give a lot of my old bosses a hard time about the way that they handle things, or when they were going through a hard time, would get angry or like, you're a business. Like you can't do stuff like that, and now I'm on the other side of the table, and it's very real. It kind of opens up your mind. But I also take a lot of pride in that fact that I take that seriously. Like I want the people around us I tell everybody, I want you guys to work for me for the rest of your life. I love everybody who works for us. And I hope that all decisions that I make, it can maybe allow that to happen. Yeah. Sounds crazy for a coffee shop, but,
I definitely get that impression when I'm there.
Do you split your time between the two? Because I usually see you a lot here.
Yeah. I would say I split, but I'm probably more in Chagrin than I am in Hudson, and that's for 2 reasons. One is it's closer to my house, so I end up coming here first usually. For three reasons. Second of all is because when we opened Chagrin, this was a whole new thing, all new employees. It was like we were starting over, and we were way busier than we were in Hudson, so we were going through inventory. It's like a new business, so I felt like I had to be here to make sure that everything, kind of stuck together. That's less the case now, because we've kind of got a lot of it down. We need some work. We have some work to do, but we have a lot of it down. The third thing is that my staff in Hudson, it really blew me away. Like in 2018, I was working 55, 60 hours a week and 100% committed to that job. We were building the Chagrin store. And like I said, we're doing all that ourselves. I had a family. Like I had all these things going on. I don't even know how. And I had a business, coffee shop, and my partner left. It was like, oh man, looking back, I don't know how I made it, but the staff in Hudson, they just handled that shop. It is their shop. Like I go there and I say, oh, we need this, this, and this. And they're like, oh no, we like already took care of that, And so they're so good in Hudson that they rely on me less, which is actually pretty sweet. you know, it's
that's
and
what you
stuff.
want.
Well, I'd say the team you've got in Chagrin is amazing.
Mhm.
You know,
I 100% agree.
They're fantastic. That was I officially declare this episode a success, Molly. What do you think?
Officially.
Agreed.
Yeah, I declare it. Jim, anything you want to get out there to the universe that you haven't already?
You know what? Just I want everybody to know that we are like we're here to stay. Like I don't see Heartwood as being a business that leaves after our lease. Like I really love this community. I feel like we've been pretty well received, and that we want to be here for a real long time. If I could sign a 100-year lease, I would do it. Like we're fully committed to this area, and we're also willing to kind of grow and find out like what the community needs and how we can serve those needs kind of within our capabilities. But I did want to let everybody know that in January, we started our own bakery. My sister and I have been doing some of the bakery that you've seen at the shop, but the long-term goals, which are now shorter-term goals, we're going to have fresh bread and like sourdough loaves and baguettes and focaccia and, you know, and buns and all that kind of thing. We're going to start doing that fresh one day a week and see how it's received. And so like a lot of people, there's no fresh bakery with really good, like natural leavened bread in the area. And we'd like to be that for the community. So we're going to do that. We got all kinds of good plans coming, you know, for the future. We're actually going to do some pizza nights because, with the bread that we're doing, we have an awesome oven that we can cook pizzas in. So we thought we'd just occasionally throw out like maybe a kids eat free, like all you can eat pizza, just for fun more than anything. So look out for some cool stuff like that. And if you want to learn more about us, Instagram is like the best place. Instagram, we're at Heartwood Coffee. That's for both locations. And then Facebook is /Heartwood Roastery, ROASTERY. And our website's heartwoodcoffee.com. So
Beautiful. I will say I made a giant plug for the quinoa bowls that you guys over here because they're amazing. But the oatmeal raisin cookies. Now those things, I don't know if there's crack in them or what, but they are. I come back for more on those things every time.
Yeah.
Feel free to drop me off one when you pass by.
I might.
And I should plug Luna. Luna Bakery up the street actually makes those cookies.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Those aren't ours. So people come in and buy a dozen of them.
Look at that, getting along with the competitors. That's how local businesses, local coffee houses are, Molly. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Two competitors are let's hang out. Let's do business.
Yeah.
Molly, anything you want to get out there to the universe?
Book's coming.
Book two.
You
know, Molly's
August.
a published author.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
But I know now.
Yes, children's book.
Wow.
So it's coming. Get your Blossom copy because when they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
And
then they want to go to Fireside Books and to
Fireside,
Dewey's Coffee.
Dewey's Popcorn Shop, or just simply go to apieceofmollysmind.com.
There you go.
Pick it up yourself. Sometimes I hand deliver them.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
What
about you, Alex?
Well, first of all, we got to again say that, I should thank you, Molly, for this, because the concert series, the summer concert series, I was giving you some flack. I was really.
We broke up.
We did. We had a fight.
Wow.
We had a
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was yelling at Molly because she couldn't make it stop raining.
Uh-huh.
Although don't say anything because this Wednesday's not looking pretty.
Oh, it'll be just fine.
Yeah.
So Molly, thank you for making those concerts. Jim, have you been to any?
Yeah. When we were building the Chagrin store, it was we all of a sudden you hear music outside. What's going on? So we'd go hang out
This
over there.
Thursday, although it'll already be, but you want to bring the kids because we have at 5:30 to 6:30 we have Disney princesses coming, doing a little sing along. If you have any girls,
I've got
even
3
boys.
of them. Yeah.
There you go.
But folks, every Thursday in the Triangle on Main Street, and every Tuesday at one of the other neighborhoods in the Chagrin Valley that is part of the chamber. So go there, watch the concert. It's free. It's awesome. It's great music.
Pick up a cup of coffee and
get some coffee.
Head over. If you're picking
Bring
up, bring me the chocolate.
Right.
Chocolate latte.
The chocolate latte and some avocado toast.
Do that. Bring your family. And then if you are a business owner, what you want to do, Jim, you should do this.
Cover my 6.
Cover my 6 for sure. You definitely want to do that. But we now have this business vulnerability quiz.
Oh.
When you go to covermy6.com or gertzberglaw.com, you want to. It's a 10-question quiz that will tell you how well protected your business is. And it just gives you a bunch of good free tips. You should do the quiz, Jim.
Yeah, I will.
Like really important elements that every business should have. You can discover them as it relates to your own business, Molly.
Crazy.
So go to those websites and do that quiz. Go to the concerts, buy Molly's book, and buy Jim's sourdough loaves.
Amen.
All right, folks. Oh, hey. If you're still listening,
thank you.
Then you are Jim's wife.
Hey, Ann.
Ann. Thanks, Ann, for listening this far. We appreciate it. And also Jim's 4 children. Thank you guys. We're sorry for swearing earlier. And probably one of about 1,500 other people.
Amazing.
Right? We've built this thing up. Right. So here's a couple things that you need to watch out for. Number one, we are 6 episodes away from the centennial 100th episode. We don't even know what we're going to do. That's how big it is. So tune in for that. And you know how you're going to know when that episode drops, Jim?
How am I going to know?
Because right now, if you're listening, you're going to go to whatever app you're listening to us on, and you're going to subscribe to us. And then you're going to hit like on Facebook and or subscribe to the show through the website, which is at thebestpodcastever.com. And Jim, we wouldn't just call ourselves Best Podcast Ever if we weren't in fact the best podcast ever,
of course,
right?
Yeah.
So
you knew that from the start, apparently.
We did. You don't just go around calling yourself something like that.
It's for real.
Yeah, it's the real deal. So folks, do that. Hit subscribe. Leave us comments. Tell Molly how proud you are that she's given up sodas and kick that habit. And stay tuned for the next exciting episode of Best Podcast Ever. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Molly.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
folks.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we thank you for listening. And remember to check out the Gertzberg Law Firm if you're starting, running, growing, or transitioning a business, or if you need to create or update your wills, trusts, or estate plan. Our firm and our lawyers are among the highest caliber and well-recognized professionals in the field. We are veteran-owned, have the highest rankings from Super Lawyers and the other key attorney rating organizations. And we were recently added to the coveted Weatherhead 100. But more than being respected by our peers, our clients rely on us to successfully defend them in court, help them avoid the courtroom with our Cover My Six service, protect their assets, and for many non-legal business services like recruiting and business development. More than just litigators, we are trusted advisors, problem solvers, and growers of businesses. Let us help you and your company. Call us or find us online to learn more. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time.